most entertaining to watch fighters in the UFC? Well, in this tier list today, we will be trying to work that out. I've got fighters all over the screen. I'm going to drag and drop them in on where I think they need to be in this tier list. S is the most entertaining fighters. You know, the guys that always bring it. They're doing crazy stuff. You know, they're swinging wild. They're just making it really fun in the octagon. And we're going all the way down to F tier, who are just boring fighters. You know, the wet blanket grapplers, or the guys that just kick at range and barely get any knockouts and stuff like that, and just don't care about the fans whatsoever. So welcome to the video. I'm MMA Tizer, and without further ado, let's get right into this tier list. So starting off with, we have Kevin Holland. I'm going to put Kevin Holland in B tier, okay? And the reason being, if Kevin Holland can fight a fight the way he wants it to happen, it will be a fun fight. You will love it. It will be, you know, it will be just pure striking. There will be a lot of striking exchanges where there's going to be a lot of damage, and someone's probably going to get slept. It's either going to be him or his opponent. But, you know, he's got power, so it's likely his opponent. But against the top guys, it's probably going to be him, let's be honest. But the problem with Kevin Holland is that if he doesn't get a fight the way he wants it to go, it will be kind of boring because he can't grapple to save his life. That's his problem. So if this guy fights a wrestler like in the past he's fought Vittori's just going to take him down. You know, anyone that can get a takedown will probably just, and is losing the stand-up to Kevin Holland, will just try and take him down. And obviously that's not as entertaining, especially when they don't really do anything on the ground once they have him down. They're just trying to win the round. So that's why he's there. But if he improved his takedown defense and he could keep fights standing more often, I mean, he could be an A tier, you know what I mean? So, you know, Kevin Holland, fun fighter, always brings it. He just has a problem, and the fights can get a bit boring if he gets taken down. Moving on, Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat he's going in A. He's going at the bottom of A. And the reason being is, obviously, he always brings it. We know that we're going to get an interesting fight no matter what. But the thing is, if it's complete domination, it's actually less entertaining in a Khamzat fight. So obviously we've seen like against John Phillips and that Reese McKee guy, that was much less entertaining than the fight against Gilbert Burns, for example, or even the fight against Kevin Holland. That was more fun because he just shot in instantly. But the point is, if the fight's a bit more competitive, it's more fun with Khamzat. Even in these fights that aren't in the UFC, you can see that they're more fun when the opponent is actually good enough to compete with him on any sort of level. Because the fights where he dominates, he just takes them down and he'll just beat them up. And, you know, it's not boring to watch, but it's way more fun when he's trading on the feet. So that's why he's there. Moving on, Volk. Volk, he's going in like the middle of C, okay? So, you know, Volk, he's fun to watch in ways, but he isn't like the super fighter. He won't do anything crazy, you know. He knows what he's good at and he sticks to it. He's good at, you know, just anything striking wise, anything normal. He doesn't throw crazy kicks, like he doesn't throw spinning elbows, anything like that. But and he, you know, sometimes he wrestles too. So he knows what he needs to do to win. Obviously, on a admiration of skills level, a lot of fans just see how good he is. So that's why they want to watch, because obviously it's really impressive to see how good he is. But, you know, he ain't the Kevin Holland, you know what I mean? He ain't going crazy in the octagon for a finish and stuff like that. He'll go for one if it's presented to him, but he won't chase it, and he's quite happy to just stay and poke at range and outstrike the opponent. So that's why Volk's there. But, you know, he's still been in a lot of good fights. The Ortega fight, the third Holloway fight, he just absolutely scored him. But it was still pretty fun to watch. So yeah, that's why he's there. And obviously the Makhachev fight as well. Moving on, we have Paulo Costa. I'm putting Paulo in B. I think Paulo's fun to watch, to be honest. He brings it every fight. He hasn't really had many boring fights, and he's had a lot of good fights. Actually, we're putting him in A. We're putting him in A with Khamzat. Obviously, we've got the Romero fight. That was really entertaining. The Vittori fight, another really entertaining one. And he did that for 5 rounds too. So this guy's gas tank helps him just bring the show for 5 rounds straight. So huge respect to him. He's always in good fights. Really great chin, and you know, he'll just walk forward. He's getting lit up. He's got a really good chin. He'll trust it. He'll walk forward. He's always down to make it a show. He'll taunt them in the cage. He riles the fans up. They love it. He knows they love it, so he's good at capitalizing on that. And he will go for crazy stuff. Like, you know, he'll just go for massive punches. You know, his Romero fight's a good example of that. They were getting dropped left, right, and center in that first round. It was absolutely crazy. I mean, he's had a few stinker performances, but, that was against high-level opponent like Adesanya. There's not much you can do to make an Adesanya fight interesting. It's very, very difficult. So we won't really knock him down too much for that. Moving on, Khabib. Khabib's going in detail. I know Khabib's had some good fights, and it's fun to watch him dominate. But his style is a bit just like grind them out, and then they'll eventually gas out or give in, and then he can get the sub. Obviously, that's the way he wants to do it, and obviously, I'm not saying that isn't that's a good strategy. Obviously, it works clearly, but it's just not as fun to watch as Khamzat Chimaev style of grappling, or a Paulo Costa striking match, or even a Volkan, because obviously he keeps it more in the feet, and when he does wrestle, it's only for limited amounts of time usually. But he gets finishes. And he does actually try and work when he's got a good position. So we're not going to put him in F tier or anything like that, because he's actually trying to, fight them. He's not just trying to win a wrestling match, you know what I mean? So that's why Khabib's there. I'm not calling his fights boring. I'm just saying in comparison to the rest of this list, it's on the more boring side. Moving on, Aljamain Sterling. He's also going in D. He might go in the bottom of C. No, he's going in D, okay? This guy, he's not very fun to watch. I mean, any fun fights with him usually involves the fact that his opponents made it fun. Again, he's just he takes the back, and sometimes he can't even find finishes on the back, which obviously depends on his opponents, because I know he subbed Sandhagen, but he just spams takedowns, to be honest, and they're not even good takedowns. Like, at least Khabib gets his takedowns most of the time. Sterling doesn't. He has a really bad takedown percentage rate successful, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about Sterling. On the feet, it's not that fun to watch either. He's pretty basic, especially compared to some other guys in that division. But he eventually gets takedowns, and he'll win on decision, basically. He's a decision master. He isn't the funk master. Sterling is a decision master from now on. So that's what we're going to be calling him. So that's why the decision master is in D. Quite fitting, actually. Moving on, Usman. Usman's going in D, okay? And this isn't boring. This is just compared to the rest of the list, but I felt I need to include him because obviously he's a very popular fighter in the UFC. He's been champion for a long time. Usman's just holds you up against the fence, okay? And I'm not a huge advocate for that. It's not that entertaining at all. However, he does get some interesting finishes. We can't deny it. The second Masvidal fight, I mean, I don't know who was expecting that, but he brought it there. So yeah, we'll give him that. His fights with Kobe as well, they were really good. So I do respect him for not just trying to have a wrestling match with Kobe, because I think he knew it just wouldn't work. They neutralised each other's wrestling because it was that similar. But he decided to have 2 striking matches with Kobe. They were fun, so that's what's saving him from F tier. But he hasn't been in that complete that fight where Volk against Ortega, and also Volk doesn't try and hold you against the cage, so that's why he's a tier higher than him. So yeah, that's why Usman's in D. Kind of boring fighting style if he's getting his way in the fight, but if not, it'll be more entertaining like in the Kobe fight. Moving on, Ngannou, I'm going to put Ngannou in B because he brings something that a lot of fighters can't do, which is literally one punch KO power no matter the strike. But the problem with Ngannou is that if this is similar to Kevin Holland actually. If it isn't going his way, it probably will be a boring fight. So we saw in the Stipe fight, he couldn't get the knockout in the first round, and then Stipe just kept on taking him down. It was kind of a snooze fest from then on. So it's similar with Kevin, and also we saw it in the Cyril Gane fight. Couldn't get the knockout because Gane's too good at striking. He was avoiding all the big hits, and he was just missing all the shots. And then it got boring because Ngannou gassed, and then he just resorted to wrestling. And no one really wanted to see Ngannou wrestle because he's not that good at it, and it's not that fun either. So that's why he's in B tier. But when he does perform and he does win, you can't really beat it, can you? I mean, he's delivered some of the most devastating knockouts in UFC history. Obviously, the Overeem knockout is probably the most brutal one ever. And then we've got the Rosenstrike one. I mean, who gets that knockout? That's crazy. The 20-second, he just swings haymakers until one lands. So you can't deny that is a crazy moment. It's fun to watch. But when he's getting taken down or when he gasses because he can't get the knockout in the first 2 rounds, it gets a bit more boring. Moving on, Makhachev. Makhachev's going in C. Okay, he's going in the bottom of C. And the reason being, we'll move Volk up actually. But Makhachev's going in C because he's more fun to watch than Khabib because first of all he'll rather strike as well. He's quite confident in his striking. I mean, I don't blame him. He's got pretty good striking, and also when he goes on the ground, he like proper tries to find a finish. He'll immediately try and get one. We saw against Dan Hooker, he did it in one round. Obviously he finished Drew Dober and stuff. So like he is trying to chase submissions a lot more actively than Khabib. And obviously sub Bobby Green in the first round. So that's why I'm thinking Makhachev's more interesting. And also, because he's down to strike, it means that he'll literally just strike strikers that are basically better than him. So Volk is a better striker than Makhachev, you know. But he was pretty down with striking with Volk. They spent a lot of time on the feet in that fight. Whereas I feel like Khabib might have shot in a lot of those exchanges, you know what I mean? So that's why he's there. Some of his fights have been boring though, so you know, it just depends. So that's why he's there. Moving on, Charles Oliveira, top of A tier. Actually, maybe S tier. We're going S tier. Charles Oliveira fights are always fun, okay? You know, whether he loses or wins, they're fun. You know, he's getting dropped basically every fight, more or less. I know he didn't get dropped in his most recent fight, but that was actually because he won in the first round, which is pretty unusual for him. But yeah, this guy just always brings it, always interesting. He just stands on the feet, does crazy shit. You know, he's always pressuring forward. That's what makes his fight so fun. He always tries to put his opponent on the back feet. And he'll go for crazy submissions and stuff when he's on the ground. He makes it really interesting when he's on the ground. A lot of people just accept that they're on bottom position and just don't try and get up. He's always looking for submissions or trying to get up or trying to do something crazy. And obviously, he instantly goes for submissions when he gets to the ground. He'll do it even like in the clinch when he's trying to get their back and stuff. So yeah, we'll give him credit for that. Always brings it, wins or loses, wherever he wins or loses. And yeah, S tier, entertaining. You know, there's a reason why he's getting to be a household name, and obviously UFC fans love him because this guy brings it every single fight, and he's also really likable. Moving on, Mikhail Pereira, top of A tier. This guy, I know that the quality level of some of his fights is questionable, but this guy does things that have never been done before in the octagon, right? Backflip kick, crazy kicks, you know, he's doing all kinds of stuff that isn't even practical, and he's just doing it in the octagon. And I support that, to be honest. Like, you know, is it going to get him the win? No, but he knows that the fans love it, and they do. It's really fun to watch. And then it helps him make a name for himself. So you have to give him huge respect for that. That's why he's going there. He's an underrated pick. And yeah, his fights are just fun, and I look forward to his next fight. I think he's fighting Wonderboy, and I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that'll be a good one. A tier, fun stuff on the feet, and he tries to get back up and stuff like that. So yeah, but he can gas a bit. But yeah, moving on, McGregor. We put McGregor in A, okay, because he always tries to find a knockout, okay. And he's probably more successful at it than Kevin Holland, I'd say, because he at least, you know, he's beat higher level opponent, and there's nothing quite like, you know, the nerves you get when you're waiting for the McGregor main event to start and you're thinking, oh my god, I hope he wins. So the fact that, you know, you're that nervous for him to fight, it just shows how big he is to the sport, and why he deserves to be in this place in the tier list, because that entertainment factor alone just brings it. His fights basically usually end in finished, so we'll give him that. He either gets knocked out or subbed, or he'll knock them out. So we'll give him credit for that. And yeah, just fun to watch. Obviously, it's Conor McGregor, so that's why he's up here, because every fight fan wants to see him fight, because he basically is the biggest person in this sport ever. So yeah, that's why he's there. Not really much else to say about Conor. Some of his fights are maybe a bit boring, but it's Conor McGregor, guys, you know. Moving on. Adesanya, we're putting him up. No, I'm joking. F, okay? And some of you are going to get a bit mad because he's below Usman, but to be fair, when Usman strikes, he does kind of just sit in the pocket and he'll trade. So we'll give him credit for that, because Israel Adesanya does not do that, okay? This guy just doesn't go into exchanges at all. He'll just leave the exchange. He'll leg kick, leave the exchange. Jab, leave the exchange. He just doesn't get caught up in exchanges, which makes it kind of boring for fight fans. His last really fun fight that he won, so the fight that he wanted it to, well, he kind of wanted it to be somewhat fun, is the Gastelum fight. And that was about 4 years ago, okay, 3 years ago. So, you know, he's obviously changed. He's much more boring now. Contender Izzy was way more fun to watch. but we're ranking this off modern Izzy. Not fun to watch. His Pereira fights were good, but that's only because Pereira was so difficult for him to beat that he was struggling and he had to change it. And he even managed to get a knockout while being on the back of the fence, which is kind of ironic because it just shows how boring it is. But I mean, he knocked him out, so fair play. But F tier, because if this guy can exert his will and get his game plan in place, it's just boring. Okay. Leg kick at range, jab at range. Basically, don't get caught up actually striking with them. And I know people are going to say in the comments, oh yeah, well, he's winning. Well, yeah, he is, but it's not fun for fans. And this is what this tier list is about. Moving on, Jack Della Maddalena. I'm putting him in S tier, okay? I'm putting him in S tier. He's good. Charles is going above him, but I'm putting him in S tier. And the reason being, because basing him off what we've seen in the UFC so far, this guy's fights have been so cool. Like, he's so fun to watch. Crazy good boxing. He just walks forward constantly, does mental combos, always finds finishes. I'm pretty sure he's got all his finishes within the first 2 rounds, so that's why he's here. Crazy fast finishes, always brings the heat, amazing boxing, lights his opponents up so bad. He's got absolutely crazy power, so there's no reason I can't put him in here because he hasn't had a boring fight yet. All his fights have been crazy fun, and what a guy. I'm sure the Australians love him. I know they certainly did when he won in Australia, so huge credit to Jack Della Maddalena. And he hasn't been in a boring fight yet whatsoever, so props to him. S tier. Moving on, Merab. Merab is at F tier, okay? I just wanted to put him in here because he's boring, okay? Let's be honest. This guy, he does push a pace, and I'll give him credit for that, but how does he make pushing a pace so boring? I can't understand. He'll get takedowns and they just immediately get back up, like in the Peter Yan fight. Like, he can't actually finish people on the ground, which is the difference between like him and Khabib. When Khabib takes someone down or Makhachev takes someone down, they'll get a finish, okay? Like, they'll eventually find a finish most of the time. They're actually looking for him. Merab just wants to win by points. He just takes them down, or he'll just hold them against the fence, like in the Aldo fight. So I can't support that at all. Merab, you're an F tier. The end. Moving on, Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley's going in A tier. A tier isn't ordered, by the way. I'm just putting them in on where there's space. Entertaining to watch. You know, he's crazy. He's crazy. Does crazy stuff. His feints are really high level. They're fun to watch. Loads of spinning stuff. He'll taunt people kind of in the fights. He's got that fight with Chris Moutinho. That was crazy. His Peter Yan fight was pretty good as well. I rate that. I know some people calling it fight of the year. I wouldn't really go there, but it was fun to watch. So this guy's always in good fights. He's fighting Aljo next. Probably will be his most boring fight yet. But, you know, the Sugar Show is a real thing, and he's got fun fights, and I do support it. High-level striking on display. He'll piece his opponents up. And also, I think a lot of kind of like fans that aren't big MMA fans really like this guy and would find his fights interesting because obviously he was like, you know, pretending to dribble with a basketball when he was fighting Chris Moutinho. And I know a lot of fans a lot of like less serious MMA fans were really loving that. A lot of basketball fans saw that and they probably became fans of the UFC just off that. So we'll give him credit for that. Fun to watch, mixes it up, always goes for finishes. You know, he knocked down, I can't even remember his name now, it's gone out of my mind, back in those days, and he knocked that guy down in the first round. He wasn't having it. He went into the third round, and then he got a way better finish. So credit to him, and that's why he's there. Moving on, Sergey Pavlovich. We're putting him in A tier, one above. We're putting him one above Ngannou. The reason being, none of his fights except one have gone to decision, and he'll either finish or get finished. So we'll give him credit for that. Mental, goes forward, but he's got better boxing than Ngannou. So it's not even like he's looking for one shot. Like, all his shots are power and he'll land. So he lands much more than Ngannou, goes forward, and I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't gas out as much, but he definitely throws more volume, which makes him more fun to watch. And even his loss was more interesting than Ngannou's losses because he actually he got finished on the ground by Overeem. So that's why he's there. He hasn't been in a boring fight yet, really. And I doubt he ever will be, to be honest, because he's just got crazy power and he's got volume too, and he's good at boxing, unlike Ngannou, who I don't rate as much. So that's why he's there. So that's everyone, guys. I'll just readjust them. We've got our S tier fighters. That's it. Obviously, I've missed a lot of people off this tier list because I can't put everyone in. There's a lot of fun fighters in the UFC. So let me know down in the comments who I've missed, where you want them to be. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss any content. I'm doing stuff like this every single day. You don't want to miss it. Subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.